Hello everyone. In the last presentation, we have seen how liberal interpretation of Article 21 had a positive impact on certain important aspects like constitutionality of death sentence, delay in execution of death sentence, right to die, euthanasia and honor killings, and on certain crucial aspects of criminal justice administration like arrest, bail, speedy trial, legal aid, and custodial violence and prison administration. In this presentation, an attempt is made to briefly deal with some more cases where the term life in Article 21 has been so interpreted as to include various aspects which go to make life meaningful. We all know that the framers of our constitution have conferred some socio-economic rights in the form of directive principles of state policy in part 4 of the constitution. They are important in the governance of the country and are the means to establish the ideal of socio-economic justice promised in the preamble of the constitution. But they are not justiciable. Due to various reasons, the union and state governments failed to pursue this ideal with full zeal, and this resulted in injustice to the weaker sections of the society. Activist judges of the Supreme Court, with the help of Articles 32 and 141, issued directions to various instrumentalities of the state to improve the conditions of the weaker sections of the society by interpreting the term life in Article 21 to include various aspects which go to make it meaningful. They explored the true meaning of the word life in Article 21 by liberally interpreting it to mean something more than mere survival or animal existence, and began to include all those aspects of life within the meaning of the word life which go to make a man's life meaningful, complete, and worth living. Let us deal with some such cases here. In People's Union for Civil Liberties versus Union of India, which is commonly referred to as Asiad Workers case, the workers of the Asiad projects were not given minimum wages as per the laws in force, and this was brought to the notice of the Supreme Court by way of a public interest litigation filed by a civil society on behalf of the workers. The Supreme Court, taking a progressive stand, held that not observing constitutional mandate implicit in beneficial provisions of labor laws like the Minimum Wages Act amounts to violation of Article 21, as these acts are clearly intended to ensure basic human dignity to the workman. The state cannot deprive anyone of this precious and invaluable right because no procedure by which such deprivation may be effected can ever be regarded as reasonable, fair and just. Again, in Bandhua Mukti Morcha case, another broad formulation of the life with dignity theme was evolved by the Apex Court, stressing the need of the state government to ensure the observance of various social welfare and labor welfare laws by mine lessees and contractors for the benefit of the workmen. The Supreme Court observed that the right to live with human dignity free from exploitation enshrined in Article 21 derives its life breath from the directive principles of state policy and particularly from clauses E and F of Article 39 and Articles 41 and 42. It must include protecting the health and strength of workers, men and women and children of tender age against abuse, providing opportunities and facilities for children to develop in a healthy manner and in conditions of freedom and dignity, providing educational facilities, just and humane conditions of work, and maternity relief. These are the minimum requirements which have to be provided to the persons, particularly those belonging to weaker sections of the community, thus advancing their right to live with basic human dignity. Neither the central government nor any state government should take any action which will deprive a person of the enjoyment of these basic essentials. The court held that this is a constitutional obligation which can be enforced against the central government and the state of Haryana by a writ petition. It is the plainest requirement of Articles 21 and 23 that bonded laborers must be identified and released, and on release, they must be suitably rehabilitated. The Bonded Labor System Abolition Act 1976 has been enacted pursuant to the directive principles of state policy with a view to ensuring basic human dignity to the bonded laborers, and any failure of action on the part of the state government in implementing the provisions of this legislation would be the clearest violation of Articles 21 and 23. In Neeraja Chowdhury versus State of Madhya Pradesh, the Supreme Court issued suitable directions to the State of Madhya Pradesh for proper implementation of the Act. In Vikram Dev Singh Tomar versus State of Bihar, expressing shock at the primitive conditions in which the women and children in a care home in Bihar are compelled to live, the Supreme Court held that our Constitution lays special emphasis on the protection and well-being of the weaker sections of society and seeks to improve their economic and social status with particular regard for women and children, and contemplates special provisions being made for them by law. The court directed the state of Bihar to improve matters in these homes and provide at least the minimum living conditions ensuring human dignity. Right to life enshrined in Article 21 means right to live with human dignity. While including right to livelihood within the purview of Article 21, the Supreme Court held that if right to livelihood is not treated as a part of constitutional right to life, the easiest way of depriving a person of his right to life would be to deprive him of his means of livelihood to the point of abolition. The directive principles under Articles 39A and 41 were read into Article 21 for this purpose in Olga Tellis versus Bombay Municipal Corporation. Directions regarding the manner in which hawkers, street vendors and pavement dwellers have to be dealt with were issued in Saudan Singh versus NDMC, that is New Delhi Municipal Council. Right to development and economic empowerment were held to be included in right to life guaranteed under Article 21 in Muralidhar Dayandev Kesekar versus Vishwanath Pandu Barde. Likewise, socio-economic justice to Dalits, tribes and the poor as a part of distributive justice was held to be a fundamental right under Article 21, read with Articles 14, 38, 39 and 46 and the preamble of the Constitution in R. Chandevarappa versus State of Karnataka. Right to cultivation by agriculturists has also been included under Article 21 in Dalmia Cement Limited versus Union of India. In People's Union of Civil Liberties versus Union of India, the Supreme Court issued directions to the union and state governments for effective implementation of Integrated Child Development Scheme, which was initiated to improve health and nutrition to children, pregnant women, lactating mothers and adolescent girls by recognizing right to freedom from malnutrition and right to food as integral part of the right to life under Article 21. When malfunctioning and improper implementation of various schemes framed under Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act in various states was brought to the notice of the Supreme Court in Center for Environment and Food Security versus Union of India, the court issued directions for proper utilization of funds, proper audit, and for appointment of officers to take prompt action on complaints made under the Act. Directions were also issued for proper implementation of Sampurna Gramin Rozgar Yojana for sustaining gainful employment for youth in rural areas in People's Union for Civil Liberties versus Union of India. In Paschim Banga Khet Mazdoor Samiti versus State of West Bengal, the Supreme Court held that Article 21 of the Constitution casts an obligation on the state to preserve life by providing adequate medical facilities for the people, and the government discharges this obligation by running hospitals and health centers to provide medical care to those who need them. The court insisted that government hospitals and the medical officers employed therein are duty bound to provide medical assistance for preserving human life, failing which the right to life as guaranteed under Article 21 is violated and the state is liable to pay compensation. The court also held that lack of financial resources cannot be taken as a plea by the government to enforce the directions issued to ensure immediate medical attention and treatment to persons in real need. Right to quality life, right to shelter, including shelters for urban homeless, right to health and medical aid, reading directives under Articles 39E, 41, 42, 43, and 48A with Article 21, right to know and right to information in order to enable people to take part in participatory development in industrial life and democracy, and right to reputation, which constitute various facets of life, have been included in right to life through judicial pronouncements of the Supreme Court by expanding the scope of Article 21 of the Constitution. Though the Constitution makers realized that women and children need special protection in order to enable them to enjoy the fruits of freedom and included special provisions for women and children under fundamental rights as well as directive principles, women and children have been facing discrimination and oppression in the society due to lethargy, indifference, and careless attitude of the executive and the legislature. When this was brought to the notice of the Supreme Court by the proactive civil society or public spirited citizens under Article 32 of the Constitution, the Supreme Court gave expansive interpretation to Article 21 by reading various directive principles like Articles 38, 39A, E and F, 41, 45 and 46, and international covenants and conventions like the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, International Covenant on Economic and Social Rights, Convention Against Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, and Convention on Rights of Child, and issued necessary directions and guidelines to the authorities concerned to ensure that women and children are properly equipped to live their lives with basic dignity. While women suffered from gender discrimination, sexual violence, eve teasing, female feticide, lack of reproductive choices, and sexual exploitation, the children suffered from the problems of child labor, exploitation, and sexual abuse. Whenever there was no legal regime to take care of the above problems and issues, the Supreme Court attempted to fill the vacuum and provide legal status and activate the government machinery to positively and favorably respond to the problems of women and children with the help of Article 21 of the Constitution. To cite an example, the Supreme Court in Vishakha versus State of Rajasthan made a novel use of Article 21 in order to ensure that the female workers are not subjected to sexual harassment. The court held that sexual harassment at workplace amounted to violation of the right of gender equality and right to life and liberty under Articles 14, 15 and 21 by reading the international conventions and norms into the fundamental rights where there is no inconsistency between them and there is a gap in the domestic law. The court issued directions laying down the procedure to deal with sexual harassment at workplace and declared that it would be in force till the Parliament enacted a law on the subject, and this was done in 2013. Rape was held to be a crime against basic human dignity of a woman and hence violative of Article 21. The court further held that it had the power to award compensation to the victim of rape before the final conviction of the offender in Bodhisattva Gautam versus Subhra Chakravarti. Right to live with human dignity free from exploitation was declared to be implied in Article 21, read with Article 23 and 24, and directive principles, particularly those contained in Articles 39E and F, 41 and 42. The court in Karnika Sani versus Union of India issued directions to eradicate begging and rehabilitate beggars. In Bachpan Bachao Andolan versus Union of India, remedial measures were suggested by the court to protect children from immoral trafficking, prostitution, illegal organ trade, and rehabilitate sexually abused women. In Ram Leela Maidan incident case, the court held that sleep is a human right and interference with a person's sleep is a form of third-degree method of torture prohibited by the Constitution. Right to silence, privacy, freedom from noise, and right to have proper rest and sleep have been included within the purview of Article 21. In Navdeep Singh Johar versus Union of India, the Supreme Court also took up the grievances of the members of transgender community who sought legal declaration of their gender identity and claimed legal status as third gender with all legal and constitutional protection. The court held that self-determination of gender is an integral part of personal autonomy and self-expression and falls within the realm of personal liberty guaranteed under Article 21 of the Constitution. In Jijag Ghosh versus Union of India, the Supreme Court held that the rights that are guaranteed to differently abled persons are founded on the sound principle of human dignity, which is the core value of human rights and is treated as a significant facet of the right to life and liberty. These are some of the decisions where the Supreme Court declared that the right to life under Article 21 includes the right to live with human dignity. Some more instances of liberal interpretation of Article 21, expanding its scope and ambit to influence other aspects of human life like education, privacy, and clean environment will be dealt with in the next presentation. Thank you.